Good evening, this is Nick Inman from VolumeProfileTrader.com. On Tuesday, March 27th, looking at the S&P here, kind of got, a little pullback from yesterday's move. Really, what I see, though, in the market is you look at the S&P, you look at the Dow, which, sure, all right, it did make new highs today, but really kind of a top, not a top, but we see the top of the range is what I'm trying to say. And I think that's important. You look at the NASDAQ, it made new highs today. Those, kind of flatline, kind of look like how it did on the 21st. A nice little pop to the upside. We've kind of seen this a few times on, semi-tops, basically these little dojis, which is the candlestick pattern. But it looks like, and I'm the Russell also, just to point out, which had the huge gap on, yesterday, and almost engulfed that entire price range today, back to the downside. So, for example, on the Russell, on the IWM, I would be tempted to play like a put spread, 84 by 82 or by 83. And I'm sure that would have a chance to be profitable. But before we get into that, let's look at these hourly charts to get a real feel of what's going on in the markets. And right now, bringing up literally the hourly chart, the 1 hour chart, 90 days, weekly composites on this side. So what we're seeing here, I'm going to delete these drawings so you can really get a view of this. Value area high from last week is 1402, or close to those levels, and we're also at the value area low for this week, which is a developing number, and it's going to shift around a little bit. But you can see from last, we did have some consolidation at those levels yesterday, so it's just something to be aware of. I do think 405 is some type of support in this market, and you're going to look for some type of bounce here, but I don't think it's necessarily a bounce that you want to be going after. The reason why I say 405 is a potential support, look at yesterday's point of control. Where is it at? Right around this 405 range. So it's something to be aware of. But I really do think that you're going to look for another push to the downside back sub 1400. If we get that, and I really, I do think the chances are pretty likely down to 1396, last week's point of control, basically retest the breakout. This could be a little bit of a blow off top here, and I'm getting a little nervous about this. Feeling like, for example, the position that we started today in Cliffs, maybe we were a little too early to that party. Maybe we're totally on the wrong direction of that trade. Now, with that said, I'll go over that in a little bit. Okay, the monthly charts, we're coming up to quarter's end, we're coming up to month's end. 1392 to 1396 or so is your monthly point of control for March. That's where you want to see support in the market. And if we drop below that, then you look down towards 1370, the level we've been talking about. So let's focus on 1394, 1396 area. And if we can hold there, well, I guess first things first, if we can hold yesterday's point of control, which is 1405, it's also basically what was resistance last week. So that's your first target, and then from there it's down to 1396, 1393, 1394. So that's where you want to look for a bounce. So let's look at the names that we've been involved in so you can figure out what the heck to do. Okay, Apple, new highs today, great. Intraday chart, point of control for the week, up top, you can see we've fallen from those levels since. Monthly chart, bouncing off of the 600 level, which is the point of control for the month. That was a great trade, and wish I caught it. Actually, I was looking at it when it was happening. Trading, it went from 595 yesterday or so to 600. and I'm like, man, this is a great opportunity to do, you know, a little bit of a call spread, try to take in some, you know, some capital gains basically, and I didn't put on the trade and it went without me. So, you know, move on to the next one. But Apple, really, this is the one position that is really I'm not even worried about. Amazon, now I sent out an email today saying I took the majority of my profits at $209.50. Yeah, I got close to the top on this one, and that feels pretty good. You see the value very high for the year, you know, close enough. I said 210 to 215 was going to be potential resistance. You see the high volume here between basically 210 and 215, well, really up to 220. But, you know, 215 is, you know, value area high, whatever. It was also point of control back in what looks like November. So you can see, you know, why I had that sort of formation. You know, it was really popping, and I was, you like that, popping. And I was like, you know what, just going to take profits into this strength. Ended up being a really good trade, and the percentage gains on those were great. 100% on the 185 by 195 call spreads, 150% on the 190 by 200, and then 15% on the stock. So this is, you know, ring the register and realize that, you know, it was a really good trade. All right. American Express gapped up higher today and then closed lower. So that's just something you want to be aware of. The monthly chart still looks okay. Sorry, got a phone call. American Express, I really don't see anything too wrong with this name. Hourly charts still looks okay too. It also kind of looks like this up to like 58.20 or so. From there, it's kind of like a cliff down to 57.5. So if you do think this is the top in the market, then obviously you're going to want to look to take profits in American Express. Baidu took my profits on my 145 by 140 call spread. I think that was yesterday, so it doesn't really matter. Which means I don't have a position in this anymore, so it's just on my radar screen. So Broadcom, watch out. This is, you know, classic inverse hammer. I forget what they call it. Market opens, rallies, and basically the strength gets sold into, and you close on the lows today of the day. It's a classic reversal pattern. You kind of saw it back on the 8th of February. Let's see if I can find another one. It's not always 100%, but, you know, traders do look at it. Here's a few more. You have one on the 26th of July last year. This was obviously a huge one. Even back in the mid-August range, late August, early September. So it does kind of signify some type of top. So I would look to be taking profits if we start to, let's get the monthly chart. I would still look for this support range that, you know, down in the mid 38s. So give it a little bit of room, in my opinion. Now, if you don't want to, go ahead and take the profits now. Chesapeake actually kind of held up pretty well today. However, I'm a little nervous about this. I'm actually looking to go out to May 26 strike options and sell those right now. Buy back the April's for a small profit, about 1% gains in the actual underlying, you know, is worth. So, you know, it's just a way to collect more premium. You can see point of control, you know, we're still at the bottom of the range, but it's a little troublesome, especially if the market's trying to top out. All right, Cliffs. This was the name that I entered today. I entered a call spread. What's frustrating about this is, one, I bought closer to the top relative to where it closed, but it's just frustrating because this price action's on an island of itself, and I didn't give it an opportunity to resolve itself. I was just assuming that it was going to continue higher. Now, I didn't close the position, but I'm tempted to, just to basically get back on the sidelines and reevaluate the position. This could easily go back down to the downside, back down towards 65 or so. So I do think I kind of jumped the gun there, and if that is the case, my bad on that one. That's kind of trading, but luckily we have a lot of winners that have been locked in really since last October when I was saying to really buy the market on any weakness. So it's okay to have a loser every once in a while. I've mentioned a few of them over the course of that time. Everyone does. It's part of trading. ConocoPhillips, this is definitely in a volatility squeeze. We've had very tight price action. Let this resolve itself. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to the upside. You can see 50-day moving average moving up, whole moving average moving up. Even the 200's kind of sloping up, so it's just something to be aware of. Freeport, have to say this looks like it, kind of like Cliffs, where it's just kind of going to drip out the downside. That's just what it kind of looks like for now. So just, kind of hang on. Gold, here I'll give you the chart that really gives the explanation of gold. And you can see how good, this volume profile works out. 2 weeks ago, basically the first month of March, point of control, 1696. Guess what today's high was? Oh, 1697. Well, actually 1696.90. But you can see great opportunity to take profits into that. I didn't. Still holding my 161 by 164 call spread on gold. Now that position's still profitable, but I really have to consider tomorrow morning if it's worth holding on to, and if it's worth taking the gain. It might be one of those situations where that GLD call spread will negate the loss in Cliffs, and that's okay. Las Vegas Sands, looks like maybe we got a little bit of a double top here. Premature, but like I've said a few times now, if the market's topping out, then this is a name that maybe you want to look to scale out of. Maztec, this has been actually a pretty nice trade. If you don't want to see this thing go against you, similarly, go ahead and take some profits, take all the profits. It doesn't matter. I don't think cash is a bad position right now, which kind of brings me to Oracle, and this is a position that is working. And I would look for it to recover up to basically post-earning highs. And if we do get to those highs, my spread will be close to realizing its full value. Remember, we bought the 29 by 31 May call spread. So we have about until right here for Oracle to get up to 31. So if you can imagine Oracle at some point in time between now and then holding these lows and pushing up against these highs, then there's really no reason to sell that position. Potash up against the top of the range. You had a bit of a reversal today. You're at the point of control for the year. Looking at the monthlies, this actually looks pretty good. I'm waiting for this. If we can bust out and go above 48, I'm going to buy a lot more. And I'm probably going to get a little more aggressive on the option side. I just own shares right now. But this is a longer term thesis for me. I have no problem holding within this range and expecting up towards 60. And that's just how I feel about potash. Let's see, silver, just to show you, kind of looks like what gold did today. If you think this has more downside, then this is something you don't want to hold. And Walter Energy, I took my losses. Well, actually, they're really small losses, which were very satisfying. I'm okay taking small losses. Even on light volume, which is, frustrating. I just don't like the fact that against the 1 year point of control, which is the actual price on that is 62, 94 or so, 62.92. We're the last 4 or 5 sessions we've traded up into that range, failed, closed on the lows 3 out of those 4 days, and this looks like it's just going to continue to move lower, retest the lows. You can see whole moving average is moving lower. Now that didn't matter here, but you also had to wait for the breakout for it to be a clean trade. Now it looks like maybe you're just getting an oversold bounce, a failure at basically at what was the floor in February, is the ceiling in March. Be careful. I took my loss. I sent out emails saying that. So really, I'm being very cautious here in the market. I'm a little nervous that we could have some type of blow off top, which was basically yesterday's 1-day pop. And if that's the case, even after this huge run, you look back and you think, there'll always be another data trade. There'll always be another quarter. You don't have to go all in on this last week. There's nothing wrong with holding and waiting for some more downside, waiting for more clarity. I don't see a lot of trading opportunities right here. And the trading opportunity that we took today, I may have taken the wrong side of that trade. We'll find out in the next day or two. And I will look to take that position off if I'm wrong. So, anyways, this is really it. Take care. Have a good night. Hope you took some profits in your portfolio today because it was prudent to do so. But at the same time, if you want to let them run because you don't think that this is the overall top in the market, that's fine. But also remember, and I won't forget this, back in, let's see, was it 2010? All right, this is the difference between last year, which we had many opportunities to sell close to the high or the top end of the range. If you remember in 2010, when we topped out, and it's similar, very nice rally to the upside, and then what did we do? We came crashing down. So you could expect something similar, and if that's the case, you want to be holding more cash. So, and it's not too late to do so. So don't think that just because you didn't sell at 14.1975 that your account's done for. That's trading. You're not going to sell the top. You're not going to buy the bottom. But your goal is to get the 80% of what's in between. If you were buying between 1,200 on the S&P and you're selling at 1,400, I think you got the majority of that meat. Take your profits, even if it's a 3-week pullback like we got here last year. There's going to be an opportunity to the upside again. So take care. Have a good night.